All right, joined by Denny McCarthy, PGA Tour player, entering his seventh season already on the tour. And Denny, like when you hear seventh year, like is it kind of hard to believe you've been out here this long, or what are you thinking?
It makes me feel old. Yeah, I'm. My body feels like it at times. My body feels old, but yeah, it's. Yeah, I'm no longer a young guy on tour. So yeah, it's been a good ride. It's crazy how fast time flies. I mean, it's crazy to believe that I graduated Virginia, coming up on 9 years now. So it's been a fun journey. I'm looking forward to continuing it. I think the journey's really only just begun, honestly, because I think I've gotten a lot better at golf, but I think I can. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement. So I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we'll get on golf in just a minute. But speaking of a journey that just begun, you just got married to Samantha, just what, a month or so ago, back in where you
Yeah,
guys live in Florida. Like, what
yeah.
you had mentioned to me off air that it was one of the funnest days or just funnest events you've ever been a part of. Like, what was your takeaway? Like, how was it so fun?
Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously, just to have all of our closest family and friends together, celebrating us was very special. We the weather cooperated the day before our wedding, and the day after our wedding weren't so nice, but the day of our wedding turned out pretty good. So we got a little lucky with the weather, especially because there's a little bit of an outdoor component to it. So um, yeah, we had a blast. Sam did such a good job with the planners. Her vision kind of came through, and the venue is beautiful. The band was incredible. People are still talking about our band that we had. And we had an after party after that, and it was just so much fun. We had it was it was it was stressful leading up to it, but it was nice. I felt like we both were able to really enjoy our wedding, and we had a blast.
Yeah, it's a piece of advice I remember I got in 2013, right before I got married. A friend of mine, my friend Jeff Ritter, mentioned like, "Hey, dude, you will never have another time in your life where so many people are together celebrating you. Like this is as good as it's
Right,
gonna get." So soak up
right.
that part of it. It was his advice,
Yeah,
and
uh,
what did you make of for your
yeah.
perspective?
We 100%. I got some similar advice going into the wedding. Hey, try and cherish it. Try and remember everything. Don't get too drunk too early because you want to remember it. And yeah, I feel like I've replayed it in my head a few times since that day, just going through what happened and the sequence of events, and yeah, it was just so much fun.
Yeah, it's funny. Like now that you've got a family, you guys, obviously the two of you as a family, was there ever any discussion on expectations, like whether you guys were in your engagement time or now since then? Because I know for me, like expectations. I remember we went to a counselor, kind of premarital counseling, just to kind of like set the expectations, and they were asking me, okay, my wife was asking, okay, how many years do we want to go before kids? And I was like, well, I'm working on a career. I'm looking at least 10 years.
Yeah.
And she just both my wife and the counselor just laughed me out of the room, and I was like, hey, so any kind of funny moments like that, doesn't have to be just about kids but just about like travel, anything that has kind of like been funny for you guys?
Not nothing, not exactly, but we've communicated, Sam and I, a decent amount about certain timelines and when we'd like to have kids, and so we've definitely talked about that stuff. I wouldn't say anything's been like funny. Obviously, I'd like to focus on my golf a little bit over the next year or two. And I want her to be able to enjoy the travel aspect of it too. She's in real estate down here, but her job's somewhat flexible where she's able to travel with me every now and then. So I want us to travel and enjoy, you know, enjoy traveling and having fun, and before we have to travel with kids.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. And like you said, over the years, you travel 30 weeks a year. Like,
Yeah.
has been the thing. Coming off a career year, one of your best years, your best year you've had on tour. How are you assessing things in terms of just how you feeling about the game and where you're progressing right now?
Yeah, everything feels good. I think this break in this fall, this past fall was really nice and much needed. Um, for me, I kind of ended the season on a disappointing note. I played well for most of the year and had a few injuries kind of nagging me towards the end of the year. I was forced to take a little bit of time off, and I just never really recaptured that form that I had, in the middle of the year when I was playing some nice golf. I just couldn't quite recapture it. So it was a little bit disappointing, but I know that I've gotten a lot better, and I know that there's a lot of good golf in there. And this fall was important just to kind of take a break a little bit, focus on some things with my body, try and get healthier, trying to get stronger. So towards the end of the year, I don't have a breakdown. So yeah, I did a lot this fall to kind of prepare for this season. I didn't play great the first couple events, didn't get off to the start that I wanted to, but kind of went back to the drawing board these last 2 weeks, and just kind of tried to simplify it a little more, just to clear my mind, and so I can just go play golf. So I've been happy with. I think I've gotten a lot better. I just need to go, show that in the tournament now.
Yeah. Well, and your coach, Brian Cregan, right?
Yeah.
When you guys look at like what you're trying to work on and make incremental improvements on, like what tends to be the focus when you're looking at stats or you're looking at improvement?
Um, we don't. I mean, we look at stats, but we're not obsessed over it. I think just um, coming up with a little bit more of a repetitive motion where I'm not at times when my body doesn't move well. Then the club face becomes a little bit more unstable, and so under the gun, if I'm not moving exactly how I want to be, then it's a little more timing based, which can get off when you're under pressure. So just trying to really move my body well, and when I do that, the club face stays really stable, and um, I'm able to hit it exactly how I want it to, very straight. So that helps when you're playing these big tournaments and these difficult places where you got to be precise, and under the gun you got to hit pressure pack shots, and you got to deliver. So I'm trying to just I've done a lot of things in the gym to make myself stronger, move better in my golf swing, and in turn promote a really stable club face to um, basically be able to just kind of hit any shot I want to at any given time. Sometimes um, when my body's not moving well, like I alluded to, or I get maybe a little too fast or excited, things get a little out of whack, and then it becomes a little more timing based in my swing, where I need to maybe use my hands a little more. So even though I do have good hands and it works sometimes, trying to you know trying to take my hands out of it and make it more so it's a very body driven swing, and promoting a stable club face.
Yeah. Um, we were talking about under the gun a second ago, right? And just the importance of like playing under pressure. What do you learn from yourself from that experience at Memorial? I know there you're standing on the 18th hole, a par would have gotten the win, but you still got to a playoff. It was really as close a call as you could ask for. Like, what'd you take away?
Yeah, I had a blast. That was a lot of fun. Obviously, it's a big tournament, and I had a great chance to win. Um, I had a lot of fun that day. I played really well for most of the day. Um, I didn't play my best. I mean, I still gave myself a chance to win when I didn't really feel like I played my best, which is a good sign. My putter kind of bailed me out. I putted really well all week, and especially on Saturday, Sunday. I didn't hit it exactly how I wanted to, but I hit it good enough to give myself a chance. And um, yeah, I mean, I hadn't made a bogey in a long time. I don't think 18's a hard hole. I mean, with the firm fairways and how it's tilted, it's a very small target. And I just didn't hit a great tee shot. And got probably my worst lie of the week. Couldn't even advance it up around the green. So it was tough. I mean, it was like all of a sudden I had to make par to win, then all of a sudden I had to make a 5 footer for bogey to go into a playoff, and that can happen pretty quickly out at a place like Muirfield Village. And it just didn't happen to me for. It was all of a sudden I hadn't made a bogey, and then all of a sudden I've got a 5 or 6 footer for bogey to get into the playoff. It was a little bit of like a okay, let's knock this in, at least give myself a chance here. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about myself. I learned I can handle the big moment, and I was really comfortable. Felt like it was, my tournament to win. But I keep putting myself in those situations. I'll knock the door down.
Yeah, and being Jack's place, did you get have a conversation at all with Jack, or did you see him after you were done with the playoff?
Just the handshake off of 18 green. I think there's a clip of it that the tour posted of just that, 5-10 seconds of me talking to him. But he just said great playing. And I told him I think I told him I'll be back. So I've got a good track record there. I've played well there over the last few years. So it'd obviously be a great tournament to win. And I'd be honored if I had that opportunity again.
Thing that I would looked at for a year like last year, you got a phone call from Zach Johnson. You made a push for the Ryder Cup. You ended up 14th, but at least getting a call. I mean, that's got to give you some positive takeaways to some degree, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen. I figured I probably hadn't done enough towards the end of the year. I wasn't. I think everyone in the top 20 or 25 in the points probably got a call, or at least top 20. And like I said, I mean, I knew that phone call was coming, and I knew it was probably going to be, you're not going to be on the team. I felt like I hadn't really done enough. It was, kind of going back. That's why this past year was so disappointing. I had there was obviously a lot of great stuff. I don't want to say the whole year was disappointing. Just the finish to the year was disappointing. Just fighting an injury or two, and then there was a lot on the line, and I didn't come through and finish the year how I wanted to. Just missed out on Eastlake. If I finish a little stronger, I probably have a better chance of maybe making that team. Maybe not. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have gotten. I probably wouldn't have qualified, but I don't know if I would have gotten a pick or not if I was say 10, 11, 12. I don't know. But yeah, it stung finishing the way I did, because I knew it probably meant no Ryder Cup. It meant no Eastlake. So it was, obviously it was still a great year. But I hope I never feel like that again, finishing a year.
Yeah, and the injury, it was during the time of the British Open, right? Wasn't it like back issues that you
Yeah,
had, right?
yeah, it was. Yeah. So I had kind of a back issue, a disc kind of a minor disc bulge in my low back. And it flared up at the British Open, and I probably shouldn't have played. I tried to play there. I probably shouldn't have. But it was my first British Open. I was already all over there, and doctor said I probably wasn't going to make it worse. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and play. But it's hard to play golf with a back injury when you're guiding against it most of the time. But yeah, it was, unfortunate timing, but that's part of the game. It's part of a career. That's just part of it. So I moved past it well, and I've taken the right steps to ensure that hopefully it doesn't happen again.
For sure, man. Yeah, and that's a
Yeah.
big event. First time in that major that you were playing. Another big event, the signature events. Obviously, when we look at the season here, but we got Pebble Beach next week, a signature event. and it doesn't have MPCC. They took that out of the rotation. I know that's a course that sometimes the greens, you've had a bad day once out there. So
Yeah,
overall, like you got to be. What are your thoughts on this new Pebble Beach?
yeah. I mean, listen, I love Pebble. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I took it off for a few years in the middle of this 7 year career stretch so far, and I've played it. I've played it the last few years, and I'm like, man, I can't believe I took this event off. It's such a fun event, with the pro am aspect. Obviously, there's a lot of cool people you meet, a lot of good connections. Obviously, you get to play Pebble Beach and Spyglass, so two amazing courses. It's hard to be in a bad mood walking around Pebble playing golf. It's such a special place, and um, I really like it too. I mean, I think it's good for me, and I've played well there the last few years, so I'm looking forward to just another good trip out to Pebble Beach.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned, there's a lot of different people we meet because of the pro-am. Is there like a story that comes to mind, like one of your favorite kind of experiences during a Pebble Beach week, running into celebrities, or just overall just on that property?
Yeah, I think just, it's kind of hollowed grounds, and then you got all these celebrities and athletes walking on there. I don't think nothing really comes to nothing jumps right to the front of my head, but just a bunch of glimpses. I feel like of I'm trying to picture a bunch of the people I've seen there. It's just really cool. I mean, everyone. It seems like a lot of the AMs, the celebrities, they like it just as much as we do being there. They think it's just as cool. They think that we're famous in a way, but I don't really see it that way. I see them as obviously being as famous, but they love being a part of the event. How could you not? You're playing Pebble Beach for a couple days, and at least the years I took it off, the weather was terrible. The years that I've played it, the weather has been nice. So knock on wood. Hopefully, it's good weather again this year.
Yeah, and just the overall big events, the signature events. Like, how much are you looking forward to kind of just this opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, it's you're they're big events, they're big purses with the best players in the world, and that's what you know having the good year I did last year. This is the reward I get. I get finishing top 50 in the FedEx Cup. You get to play in all these um, big purse, limited field events with the best players in the world, and that's those are the tournaments you want to be playing in. You want to play well in them. You want to see how your game stacks up against the top guys, and it's fun. It's fun competing, and it feels like they're almost like mini majors in a way. So I like playing. I like playing challenging golf courses with the best fields and seeing who comes out on top. It's golf's such a funny game. It's like you know anyone can win any given week. Obviously, there's the top 5 or 10 favorites here and there in the world that are always playing well, but it's fun to try and compete and take them down. So that's that's what I'm going to try and do here in some of these events.
Yeah, and speaking of big events and getting a chance to play the best in the world, this is going to be your first Masters coming up. You got through. You're gonna play Augusta for the first time. You had mentioned in the past that you've avoided going there as a patron because you want to obviously play as a player. What was
Right.
the anticipation? You get the invite in the mail. We see it all over Twitter. We see it all over social media. But when you get the invite, knowing how much blood, sweat, and tears you put into this to get into the Masters, you get that invite. What was that anticipation like for that to come in the mail?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was funny how it happened. It was like shortly after our wedding, and we had been getting a bunch of boxes from wedding registry presents, wedding gifts from our guests, and we made dinner one night. Sam was like, "I'll clean up the kitchen." I was like, "Okay, I'll go break down all the boxes for trash day." And like breaking down all these boxes, and I see one on the counter, and looked unopened, and I looked at it. I was like, it's from Augusta National Golf Club. So uh, I I knew what it was, so I obviously stopped, unpacking or breaking down the boxes, brought it into the kitchen, and Sam, she took a video of me opening it. We sent it to like my family and her family, and family group chat. And it's, I mean, obviously amazing. It's been, I knew it was coming. I didn't know when exactly. And so it was a nice little early Christmas present. Pretty good week. Wedding, got the Masters invite, Christmas. It was a pretty good little Christmas present. Yeah, the invitation, the envelope, everything about it is so cool. We're gonna get it framed here at some point and put it in my little golf room that I have.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, that's a memorabilia. That's huge.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've specifically Augusta National. Like, what kinds of things are you really looking forward to about getting to the property out there tournament week?
yeah. I think just kind of comparing, you know, obviously we've all seen, Augusta on TV, and it's like we know the holes. So
Yeah,
obviously comparing, what I have in my head of what certain things do on certain holes, and then what it actually looks like in reality, right? So it's like we we have an idea of what it looks like, but I've heard it's crazier in person. Like the hills and the lies in the fairway, there's way more undulation and slope. There's not that many flat lies. Obviously, on TV, we see these balls just trickling and rolling. And you hear people like, yeah, that slope is massive. Like at the TV, you can hardly see it on TV, but that slope's massive. So I think just kind of comparing in my head, what I've seen on TV throughout the years. And then once I, first get there, and I'm sure the first look's going to be pretty eye opening, how big some of these slopes are and how undulating it really is. So I guess I'm just excited to kind of start picking the course apart, using my golf brain to, start coming up with a game plan, and start mapping out the greens in my head, if you will.
yeah, and obviously, like for you, green reading is something that you've always pointed to as being one of the big strengths for you, as to why you're such a good putter. Um, what are you looking forward to about that challenge for Augusta?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need to. I think I'm gonna need to get some rounds under my belt. It seems like course knowledge is very important there, and obviously I don't have any of it really. So I plan on making a couple scouting trips before the actual tournament week. So I'd like to play it, 4 or 5 times um, the week before the week actually starts, just so I have a really good idea, just so I'm not surprised by anything. I want to feel like I know the course and that I've played it multiple times. So I'm sure I'll um, get some good work in when I get there. Hit some, probably hit some of the famous putts that people have, winners and guys have had over the years, and maybe if I don't know how it works, but local caddy, he'll have me maybe hit some putts here and there. Here, hit this putt. This does this. Many people think it does this, but it does this. So I guess I'm just trying. I'm looking forward to the challenge of, because that's a lot of. I've heard it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to see things out there. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting those tricky putts, that prep work, and obviously it's hard to hit every single putt on the greens, but I'm gonna try and hit as many as I can.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a couple favorite memories watching it growing up that come to mind?
Um, Obviously, like first one that comes to mind is the Tiger chip in on 16. I remember I watched that up at Argyle Country Club where I grew up. Um, And then I remember him doing that, and then I went back out. I was like, "Oh, he's gonna win." And then he actually bogeyed 17-18. So we
Right.
chipped in, had a 2-shot lead, and then he bogeyed 17-18, and then he birdied 18 in the playoff. Um, that one stands out. Um, I don't. They all kind of run together. Obviously, there's many different winners, but they all, Jordan. I remember watching Jordan um, win in
15.
2015.
Yep.
Yeah, because we were the same high school class, and I remember being at UVA my last year, watching that and thinking how cool that was. I was just playing with this guy in college amateur events, and
Yeah.
here he is on Sunday. Here I am, hungover Sunday afternoon, and here he is winning the Masters. So and it was a little deflating, but also very very inspiring and motivating at the same time. Just because um, I remember thinking, I've beat him before. I've beat him in many tournaments. Here he is winning the Masters. That could be me someday. So we'll see. The first time around would be pretty magical. That would be pretty sweet. If I were able to hoist the green jacket on around my arms. But I think I have a lot of prep work to do between now and that moment, maybe.
Yeah. You think February will be your first practice round out there?
Yeah, so I'm playing these last three of the West Coast Pebble Waste Riv, and then I'm thinking I'm going to go before the Florida swing starts. So it goes Pebble Waste Riv, and then it goes Mexico. I don't think I'm not playing Mexico, and I'm going to try and go maybe in that week and play a couple times. So not finalized yet, but in the process of being finalized.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be exciting, man. And you mentioned one of your peers at one point, obviously Jordan Spieth from that class of 2011. I want to ask about some other peers too. Like you obviously pair with Joel Damon, had a top 11.
Yeah.
There's Zurich. What's the story about Joel Damon that golf fans would really laugh at and enjoy? I mean, he's such a personality, man.
Yeah, he's a beauty. There's only one Joel and there's only one Gino. And they're awesome to be around. I love spending time with those guys. They're so easy to be around. That team event is a lot of fun, especially when you play with them. Like they're just so easygoing and relaxed. It just makes for an easy partnership. The first time I actually played with him, it was my first year on tour. I was first alternate. I wasn't into the event, and I think Martin Pillar, his wife, went into labor, and he had to withdraw, and that was Joel's partner. And so I was then paired with Joel, and we got paired with John Daly and Rory Sabatini was our group. It was me and Joel and John Daly and Rory Sabatini, and those, John Daly and Rory Sabatini they're riots. That was really fun playing with them. But I remember Joel being like, I'm like, okay, we gotta like game plan, strategize, like, what ball do you want to play on the alternate shot day? And Joel goes, doesn't matter. I'll play your ball. I'm like, well, don't you want to know what ball I play? I'm like, no, I don't really care. I'm like, man, this guy's awesome. Like he doesn't give a shit. I knew him a little bit leading into that, but we became pretty good friends after we played that week. And then I'm just like, so what do you think? Do you want to play odds or evens? And he was like, whichever one you want to do, it doesn't matter to me. And so like I couldn't have asked for more easygoing partner. I will say I would have liked some more like I think you should do this and I'll do this because you know I drive it better than you, so I should be hitting these tee shots. But there is none of that with Joel. You get to pick what you want to do when you're Joel's partner, which is nice in a way. if there's certain shots you don't like on certain holes, then you're like, yeah, I don't want to play these holes. You can hit these tough par three shots over water.
Ugh.
um, but yeah, I don't know about a specific story. I've had a couple nights out with Joel where we've had some fun. He's great to be around. That's why we make a good team. He's very easygoing, and so the same with Gino. They're fun to be around. I don't know if I'm playing that event this year or not, but whoever's Joel's partner is a lucky guy.
Right. Well, another player that you seem to have gotten to know a bit over the years is because of your names are so similar and you be in similar parts of the locker room is Rory McIlroy. You know, for I don't know, for golf fans at home that watch him, I mean, we see him at the big events, but you know, would there be from over the years a story that comes to mind with him, either just a funny story or just something memorable you guys did together?
We've had a handful of conversations. He's great. He's very easy to talk to. He's very approachable, and we've run into each other many times at each other's lockers. We've talked. My dad's been to a few golf trips in Ireland, and I've been fortunate to have a nice golf trip to Ireland, and so we've talked. We've talked a decent amount about golf in Ireland, and I remember my dad was playing Royal County Down, and I remember the day he was playing. I think it was at actually I don't know what tournament it was, but I remember seeing Rory that day, and I was like, hey, my dad's playing Royal County Down today, and Rory was just like, oh. He's like, that's my favorite place in the world. That's the best. Like that place is unbelievable. I was like, yeah, I've never played it. I've heard really good things. I'm jealous of my dad right now. He was like, "You should be. It's a spectacular place." And I was like, "Man, I kind of wish I was." I can't even remember what tournament that was at. I was like, "Man, I kind of wish I was playing that place now." Royal County Down, that is. Um, and we've had a couple times where, uh, you know, there's not, usually you have like a full length locker, and his is next to mine. We've had a couple times where somebody's on the top and somebody's on the bottom. And so I think I joked with him one time. He was on the bottom, and so he has to like bend down, and like I was on the top. And I was like, yeah, they said I was just a half inch taller than you, so they gave me the top one, and they gave you the bottom one. um,
How do you
but
respond to that?
he was like, oh yeah, is that what it is? um, yeah, no, it's that's more so credit to him because we're like the same size, and he hits it 40 yards farther than me. It's pretty crazy what he's able to do to generate speed and hit the ball like he does. Because there's I've played with him a couple times. There's not many people that move and hit a golf ball as gracefully as he does. He was meant to play golf and be really really good at it because he's very impressive every time I play with him. The control, the ability to hit it really high, drives it great. I've been impressed with his short game and putting when I've played with him. I think he's very good, and obviously he's a great ambassador for the game also.
Yeah, and I know you guys played a match there in Austin as well last year, right?
Yep, yep, yeah, that was a lot of fun. To go, head to head with him and have a chance to beat him was a lot of fun. I didn't. I We both didn't really make that much that day. Honestly, we both had opportunities to make some putts and you know take a stranglehold on the match, and neither of us really did it. And so it was just kind of we were just hanging around all the way till he was one up through 17, and then obviously hit that drive on 18 that I now have to see on Golf Channel and social media all the time now. At least I can say I was like, oh hey, I'm standing right next to him on that tee box. That was against me. Um, I remember the camera guy when he hit that tee shot. We could hear like a faint cheering. We couldn't because it was faint because we were 400 yards away. So like there were still a lot of people, but you could barely hear it because it was so far away. And I remember the camera guy that was on the tee box being like, "Holy shit!" And I was like, I was like, oh man, that can't be a good holy shit for me. That's got to be a good holy shit for him. And like one of the camera guys, like up 50 yards ahead on the tee box, just goes like that, like he stuffed it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I can't win the match now. Pretty much, I need to make a hole in one here. um, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Similar type of, you know, I like being in that environment. I came out, I was a little nervous, but a good nervous. Kind of a nervous that gets me hyper focused. And I remember I came out playing really well. I really played well most of the day. I just didn't. I made a couple nice putts early, and I didn't make anything the rest of the day. So he gave me an opportunity to take the match, and I just didn't take it. And if you let someone like him hang around, I gave him too many opportunities. But that was a lot of fun to be a part of. I remember when I drew that group, I was like, man, this is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be a lot of fun. And I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey,
Dude,
oh,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
It's
No, I was
seven.
gonna say it's too bad that that's going away because that's a really fun event. I hopefully it comes back to the schedule.
Yeah, yeah, that is a bummer that's going away. Obviously, schedule changes with the tour, not having that event. But it's funny. We talk about Joel Damon, we talk about Roy McIlroy. Who are a couple of the best trash talkers on tour when you're out there?
Um, that's a good question. I stay in a lot of houses with some of the Georgia guys, and Sea Island guys. So we're always giving each other shit here and there, whether it's at the house or at the golf course. But that's been a good crew to hang around. It's a nice way to kind of break up, staying in a hotel room, staying in a house. I feel like early on in my career, I stayed in a lot of hotel rooms, and that can get a little lonely if we're doing the same thing each week.
Right.
Um, so it's nice. It's nice when you're staying in a house with a bunch of guys. Different form of entertainment. You're hanging with them, playing card games, playing dice games, just watching games, sports, TV shows. It's just much. It's much more fun to come home to, especially if you don't play a great round of golf. Like, people want you to do well, but they don't care about your bad round of golf. So you kind of just leave the golf at the golf course. And when you get to the house, it's kind of just fun and games and hanging with the guys.
Definitely. Well, it's interesting when we look at your strengths. Obviously, putting is up there. You were third in shots gained, putting last year, and really in the 6 years you've been on tour, that's been a big strength. You've mentioned mindset really being one of the biggest keys, right? Like you really just have to have the right attitude and mindset.
Hmm.
How do you kind of foster that?
Yeah, I think it's something that I still think I need to work on when I'm very engaged and focused and very committed to the shot that I want to hit. That's when I play. I feel like that's when I play my best golf. When I'm thinking about my swing too much, um, or I'm not maybe fully into each shot, or I'm not committed to each shot. That's when to me that's when we all have the ability to play really good golf, and everyone hits it great. To me, it's when you really um, get engaged with each shot and commit to each shot. I feel like is when I play my best, and that's when I hit my best shots. And my worst shots are when I'm uncommitted or unsure um, about where I want to land it or where I want to hit it. So I think it's hard to do all the time because we play so many tournaments, and it requires a lot of energy and focus to do that on every shot. Sometimes it's easy to let your mind slip for a shot or two. But I think just doing that, and then totally trying to escape for in between shots, whether that's talking to your caddy, talking to one of your playing partners, just to kind of get away from it, and then like kind of it's almost like you're turning your brain on and off to hit each shot. You want to it's almost like you step into the office for 30 seconds to a minute, really give it your that full attention and focus. You hit the shot, and there's nothing you can do about it. So then kind of stepping out of the office, if you will, for till you hit your next shot, 3 or 4 minutes. And I think I've done a good job with that for the most part, but I still think I could do that a little better. And then, like I said, I talked to Dr. Attella a decent amount, and he's been great for me. So talking to him and just you know having some of his key phrases or words in my head here and there, he's been a big help to me, and he keeps it really simple and in front of me, and I like you know sometimes sometimes I know what he's going to say. I just want to talk to him. I feel better hopping off, getting off the phone when I talk to him, and he tells stories that are kind of simple and put it right in front of you, and um, you know puts it in a way that I maybe didn't think about, but is very simple. A lot of times I'm like, yeah, I didn't really. He explained something. I'm like, yeah, I didn't really think about it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. So, um, just getting a little, some nuggets here and there from him. Obviously, he's worked with some of the best with all sports. So, when I do feel like I'm not in that good spot on the golf course, talking to him usually helps me and kind of locks me back in.
Well, you were just mentioning you're going into the office, right? And out of the office, right?
Hmm.
For you, you hit your second shot, and now you got 20 feet for birdie. When you have to go back into the office and think about that putt, like from the moment you're approaching the green to you've executed the putt, like what's going through Denny's process?
Yeah, for the most part, we've played these places enough. If I hit it to 20 feet and I can see the ball, I know what the putt's going to do pretty much already before we've even gotten up there. Exactly how much it's going to break right to left. Say it's 20 feet and I know it's going to be a downhill right to left. You're breaking about a foot. That might change. That might be a foot and a half. It might be half a foot, but I know it's going to be a downhill right to left or something. And then from there, it's like I know what it's going to do, so I'm prepared. So I can. It's not like I need to think about this downhill right to left 20 footer that I'm about to have. But I know what this putt does. So I'm already prepared for it walking up to the green. Um, so I think that helps when you've played all these places and the putts you're going to have. That way you're prepared going into it. You're not like, oh man, this putt really swoops a lot left to right. Like, yeah, you should know that for the most part. Maybe might be hard for rookies to like totally know the lay of the land, but this is like you said, this is my seventh year. I know the greens pretty well by now. I've had enough tournament rounds on these places where I know what most putts are going to do. And then from there, it's just kind of being an artist, picking a spot that makes the most sense to me between me and the hole. Sometimes it's closer to me, sometimes it's closer to the hole. But anything that stands out that I can kind of use as my aiming point is kind of how I like to think of it. And then from there, it's just point and shoot. Uh, try and be as clear as possible on how you're trying to hit the putt, and point and shoot, just like kind of shooting a basketball. So when I'm putting my best, that's literally what I'm doing. I'm picking a spot. I'm not overthinking it, and I'm just rolling it near that spot, basically at that spot, high of that spot, low of that spot. I try and make it as reactionary as possible. Um, and what I mean by that is like, I'm gonna just this is what I've done. I'm committing to hitting this putt at this ball mark or at this light colored spot that stands out to me. And that's similar to how shooting a basketball. Like I don't second guess myself on, I missed that one to the left. Was my elbow? No, I just react to it, and I know what to do for the next. Like I don't overanalyze how I missed that 3 pointer. I just keep shooting, and that's kind of how I try and be with putting also.
Yeah, I love it. Obviously you played basketball through high school, so a lot of passion for that too. Just clear up and bust up some bad putting advice that we hear out there, buzzwords that are like, oh, come on, that actually doesn't, what was your kind of approach when you hear bad advice? What are some isms that we need to like not listen to?
Um, you don't. I don't. That's a good question. You you can putt so many different ways. Like I can stand wide open and take it back, all jagged. But if my face comes through square every time, that's all that matters. Obviously, it's going to be more difficult to match it up if you're taking it back all squat, whatever, all goofy.
Right.
But I don't know. To me, it's all hand-eye coordination and feel and um, like if you were just to take a ball and roll it, with your hand, if you just roll it, um, you're not gonna put any weird spin on it. Like I try and feel like I am basically hitting like a baby top spin forehand in like tennis or ping pong with
Okay.
it. So like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
gets the ball, that picks the ball up and gets it rolling. I don't. It's not like I'm hitting a slice backhand. Like I don't want the ball to launch up with backspin. Um, it will actually kind of launch up off the ground. But I'm trying to feel. I'm not like I'm not holding the putter and like whipping my right hand at it. It's a little feel in the right hand. But I feel like I'm nice and connected. I try and kind of feel locked in, engaged with my core almost.
Hmm.
And I'm really just trying to swing it and get the ball to roll like a tight baby draw, basically. Just little top spin forehand. And that's the as really as mechanical as I'll get. I like my lines pretty square because it's easier to hit your line. Your body, the putter naturally wants to swing down your body line. In my opinion,
Hmm.
um, and the guys at the Scotty studio, I've gone to the Scotty studio and they're big on that, and they've helped me some. So being more open with your stance, you can putt just fine that way. I try and be pretty square, and I try and hit a little baby top spin forehand. It might not be for everybody. For me, it works. Like I said, it doesn't need to be. You don't need to be too mechanical. I try and get out of being too perfect with what my stroke looks like, how it strokes, because my stroke's not perfect by any means. But I know how to get the ball in the hole. I know how I see the greens well, and I pick out spots well, and I'm good at being an artist instead of making it a science. So try and keep it as simple as possible. Like I said, point and shoot, as reactionary as possible. Pick a spot, let it fly. Once you hit it, there's nothing you can do about it afterwards. So make sure you commit to it going into it.
For sure, for sure. You said that you really try to engage with your core, right? As well. Like, how do we do that? Like, how do we get that feeling?
Yeah. So if you're about to hit a putt, your putter's down on the ground, basically lift it up off the ground, hover it behind the ball a little bit, and that'll naturally basically keep everything engaged. So if you were
Huh.
to stand there with the club and you put it down behind the ball, you can still engage with it on the ground for sure. But to help get the feel, if you just lift it up off the ground and hold it still, that'll naturally just engage everything a little bit. So that's a good way to it's a good way to kind of keep everything like locked in, engaged. Everything else is kind of solid and tight, and then I try and feel like my arms, hands, shoulders are loose. So while everything else is locked in, um, I'm able to just swing my arms and shoulders basically. So it kind of I don't want my arms super tight and locked in. I want them to have some freedom to move and rotate. But it helps for me at least to feel like everything else is locked down, and then I can just kind of swing that nice and gently. And it still feels very free. I don't want to. I don't mean like hunker down and be like totally
Sure.
locked in.
Yeah.
You'll know if you guys are whoever's listening to this, when you come out with this. I'm sure you're gonna try it too when we hop off.
All right.
Just you get down. It's just a light sensation of once you hover the putter, you'll feel everything kind of like engage a little bit, and then just hover the putter and keep it hovered and just make a stroke with it. Ricky Fowler actually used to do that. He used to hover the putter, and that's what he was doing when he went through a stage when he was hovering the putter, and that's what he was trying to do basically when he was hovering the putter. He was trying to get everything like really engaged, and then he just swung very lightly, gently, and he's a great putter. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's a good little it's a good little check reset for me to kind of come back to every now and then.
For sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, man. Real quickly, speaking of Ricky, I know you guys see each other all the time, medalists down there, you're in the same area. What's a favorite story with him from over the years?
Um, you know, during COVID, I played with him and JT and Tiger. I kind of crashed their group one day. I had been playing, and those guys took a couple weeks off. But I had been playing because I was bored, and golf was like one of the only things you could do. So I was just up there one day, kind of tired. I'd worked out that morning. I was just up there practicing. I didn't, most days I had games lined up. I just showed up there one day with no game lined up, and JT and Ricky said that they were going to go play. And I was like, okay, I'll play a couple holes with you guys. And then start hitting a few balls on the range, and Tiger shows up and puts his bag down. And then I'm starting to put two and two together that we're playing with Tiger. And then all of a sudden I went from being like really tired and lethargic and to like I am like wired, like really wired. I become really nervous. All of a sudden I've got so much adrenaline. And we didn't really play a game that day. Those guys hadn't been playing, but Tiger had been playing. We all kind of just rode our own cart and played 18 holes in 2.5 hours. Just a quick, easy round, but that was a pretty cool story. I've played a couple practice rounds with Ricky here and there. He's great. He's brought me out to. I actually don't play at Medalist anymore, but I've seen him out there. The times I have played since I left, and he's brought me out to Grove 23, Jordan's place, a time or two, and he's very nice. He's just a normal dude, likes to have fun, likes to play golf, very easy
Yeah.
to talk to. So he's a good dude.
And Denny, lastly, last question: how hungry are you to get that first PGA Tour win? Like how much does that fire you up?
Yeah, I want it really bad. I want to win. I mean, I feel like if I when I get that first win, then I feel like I can start knocking them off and get more comfortable in that situation. It's hard to do it that first time. So if I just keep doing what I'm doing, stay patient. There's I don't want to get to a point where I want it too bad where it frustrates me. You just gotta let it. I gotta let it come to me. I mean, there's a fine line of letting it come to me and going out and getting it. I want to try and be patient. But if I keep doing the things that I'm doing, I know I'm getting better. If I just keep trying to get better, I'm going to put myself in that situation to win tournaments, and eventually I'll knock the door down and get one here soon.
Good stuff, Denny. Hey, appreciate the time. Thanks for jumping on the pod, and good luck with young marriage and this year coming up.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Garrett.